Good morning, and welcome to All People's Church Unitarian Universalist. My name is Anna Evans, and I'm here to help lead worship with Sarah Harrop, who has prepared a service about spirituality and its relationship to transforming lives. Our Sunday service is a shared time of worship for all present as we gather for music, spoken words, and a time for reflection and inspiration as a religious community. Let us come together in a spirit of compassion and respect for ourselves and others attending this service. We especially welcome those who are visiting today. If you haven't done so, please sign in at the visitors table by the front door, where you can be placed on our mailing list to receive weekly emails and the monthly newsletter. Before we continue on to worship, there are some announcements. There will be a memorial service for Christine Chapman next week after service. This afternoon at 1:30, the Justice Network of Tarrant County will have an all-teams meeting at Hope Farm. Our social justice team has been deeply engaged in coalition with the Justice Network. If you'd like to attend, check with Jane Collins or Sarah. There are a few seats in a carpool. Also, on Saturday, September 30th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., we will have electronics recycling in the parking lot. Please take a flyer and share with your mutuals so that we get lots of participation. We will also have a few community tables, such as voter registration. We'd like to have a table to promote the church as well, so reach out to Carl if you'd like to help with that. And finally, a brief introduction to our guest speaker, Sarah Harrop. Sarah is an interim minister of the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry and is currently serving All People's Church as our Director of Religious Education. Welcome, Sarah.
And now Misha will do the prelude to get us ready for worship. to worship today is from a colleague of mine, Elizabeth Mount. Sunlight streams through a rounded window. Come into this place, bringing all you hold with you. Though your heart may be heavily burdened, whether you be on the brink of tears or burn with unquenchable rage, this community can hold you and your strongest emotions. Yes, even the messy ones are welcome here. Come in if you sing just a little bit too loud. If you hold still as statues and just breathe it in, if you sway to the music moving your soul, you are welcome. Come in and say amen when the Spirit moves you. Tell that preacher to preach. Yes, that is right. Tell us. Or close your eyes and quietly let your mind float free on the blessed words. Come into this place with every piece of yourself gathered up, and let us be the church incarnate. Let us bring forth the Spirit of all that we love by the words of our mouth and the doing of our hands as we make sacred this time together.
We now invite you to rise in body or spirit for the chalice lighting, opening hymn, and spoken affirmation.
Our chalice lighting words, they come to us from Adrian L.H. Graham, and these were part of the promise and the practice of our faith, which was a set of liturgical materials made to support Black lives of UU. Chalice lighting. We kindle a flame of power, illuminating the holy in each of our faces. We recognize in the flame a passionate commitment to our shared faith. We are held and carried from day to day, week to week, in the shining of the light. This flame is mine as well as yours. We are brought together on this day, called to growth, to expansion within its glow. And what does your heart know while beholding this holy fire?
Join us in singing our opening hymn, number 368, in the great hymnal, Now Let Us Sing.
This hymn is our hymn of the month, and divided down into two parts, so men, you can sing the low part, and I'll lead you, and women can sing the high part, wherever we choose.
And now for the affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another.
And our time for all ages today is the blessing of the backpack with words from Reverend Erica Hewitt. So I'm going to come down. The young and the young at heart are welcome to come over, but then there will be more invitations also. No, you're good. Okay. Unless you have something to be blessed. All right, so we carry bags with us throughout the week for many, many reasons. And if you have a bag with you and you want it blessed, so you can bring it forward here, or send it forward with a helper, or just lift up your bag when you hear me describe you in this story. So, some of us take books and homework to school. Some of us bring our lunches to school or to work. Some of us take computers and other supplies to the places where you work. And remember, you can lift up your bag if you don't have to bring it up here, either way. So we love everyone here. So some folks, children or youth, carry overnight bags from one parent's house to the other parent's house and then back again. And some of them bring things like books or yarn or knitting, say to crafters on second Saturdays. They bring them to places where they might need to wait also. And some people have special bags for their dogs. So we have all these here, and nobody wants to play by lifting theirs, but that's okay. So are your bags full of things? Do y'all have a lot of things in your bags? They have it? Yeah? Yes? So, do you think, if it isn't full, you think it might get full one day? Maybe. So we're going to add something to y'all's bags, but it's not going to weigh a thing. Well, it will weigh what a little key charm might weigh. So it'll weigh a little bit, but not very much, and it won't take up any room. Is there anyone here who'd like to have like a whole group of people, our congregations, love to take with you to school or to work or on your travels? Yeah. So that's what we're going to do right now. And so what I would like all y'all to do is find some love, look in your pockets or in your hearts and like bundle them up, some love that you might have, and make a pillow out of your love. Let's see. Or a ball. Are you ready? All right, so whoever wants this blessing from the congregation, you can hold up your hands if you didn't bring your love in, your backpack in, or we have it. Let's throw our love into the bags. And to all of each other. So let's add a little bit more. Sometimes we get nervous, right? When we go to school or we go to work, and we wish we felt braver. And so maybe y'all can find some courage to throw at us, to give us for when we need it. So again, let's pull out some courage, make a ball with it. All right, here we go. Courage, throwing it out to everybody and into the bags. Is there anything else that somebody wants in their bags? Any other attribute? What? Oh, sexiness. Okay, that's good. Like, isn't that like your own sort of self-worth, right? Like, yeah. Like feeling good. Nina Simone, guys. So whatever you want, named or unnamed, congregation, let's find it, bundle it up, send it to each other and into the bags. So now, we blessed y'all's bags in spirit and in presence here. And for the people that's in Zoom, I'm going to throw some up at the screen to represent the people that's on virtual. Your bag may not look or feel different, but right in your heart, you know it's different because it carries the love, it carries the courage, it carries the sexiness, it carries all of the unspoken attributes that this congregation gives to us. And you can take that with you now into your work, this spirit of life and love. And so we do have charms. So I will just trying to figure out how to do this. I'm going to just set the charms into each of these bags. And then we also have, I don't see a pocket. Just set it on top of the bags, and so you can have it when you come get it. And then also, we have enough for everybody. And so we'll put them in the back, and so everyone can get your charm for your backpack or your purse or whatever that you want blessed. And so now, filled with love and courage, we're going to sing our children out with hymn number 414 as we leave this friendly place. So our reading today comes from ethicist Walter Earl Flicker. And he writes, spirituality is a discipline that places emphasis on practice. Spirituality is something that we do. Prior to any act of cognition, spirituality has to do with the practical day-to-day encounter with the other being both friend and stranger, comrade and opponent, individual and collective, divine and demonic. In its active, dynamic expression, spirituality is life-generating and disfiguring. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and Howard Thurman demonstrate that for ethical leaders, each encounter with the other carries itself the danger of disfiguring, of being tested and proven, so that that which is hidden and that which calls us discloses itself in acts of courage, justice, and compassion.
Offertory, the words by Victoria Weinstein, aka Peace Bang. The purpose of the church is to encourage all who gather there to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This is the great end of all the church's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. We now take an offering that allow us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting church and its many ministries. It is our custom to share the undesignated cash offerings that are collected each week. We do this on a quarterly basis for a nonprofit or charitable organization. Our current Share the Plate recipient is our longtime partner, East Side communities. Assistant, the gifts of the congregation will be the most gratefully received. Will the ushers and the choir please come forward?
Testing. Testing. Testing.
Children, save the trees, save the rocks and hills and valleys, save the seas. We must strive to save the planet and commit to its rebirth. We must do it for the children. Save the earth.
At this time in our service, we pause to give time and attention to the things in our community that are important to us. We gather here for healing and for peace in our hearts, and to acknowledge the shared stories and news from the congregation. Each week there is a journal outside the entrance to the sanctuary where you can write a message of memory or hope before the service. We honor these messages by lighting 3 candles here next to our chalice. Also, at a time during our service, you're welcome to come forward and light a candle in our meditation center here at the side of the chancel. Today, from our book of memory, I hope we include the following. Please say a prayer for Rita and family, Virginia's sister. They had to put their dog Malibu down yesterday due to cancer. Also, keep Anna Evans, that's me, brother, in your thoughts. He is recovering from bypass surgery. Let us open our minds, our hearts to the place of quiet, to the silent prayer for the healing of pain and the soft, gentle coming of love. Please now sit comfortably and pause for a few minutes of quiet meditation to hold and uplift the sorrows and celebrations, both spoken and unspoken, among us. And the Misha will lift our hearts with music.
So the Hebrew scriptures tell about a time when a man named Jacob had a very bad night. Years earlier, he had harmed his brother real bad, and he ran away. And though he created a new life for himself, years later, 20 years later, he felt compelled to return home, even though he feared his brother might still be angry. So picture him. He's alone the night before he's going to see his brother again. He's camped by a river. He's sweating it out. All of a sudden, a stranger accosts him in his campsite. Jacob and the stranger wrestle in the dark all night. The sun's rising, and the stranger kind of gets higher ground and pushes Jacob's hip out of joint, and he starts to leave. And Jacob's like, no. We've been at this all night, and so the least you can do is give me some kind of a blessing. The stranger blesses him. He says, I'm going to give you a new name. Your name is Israel, which means God wrestler in Hebrew. And Jacob, now Israel, was a changed man as he went on to meet his brother. And it turned out his brother wasn't mad anymore. Israel, on his own part, said, when I saw your face, it was as if the face of God was smiling upon me. He saw the face of God in his estranged brother. Now, some people say the stranger was an actual person. Others think it might have been an angel. Yet others think it was just a dream. Jacob was wrestling with his own conscience. The thing that we do know is that this long, intimate dance with the stranger forever changed him. He got a new name. He limps for the rest of his life. And he found a version of himself that could love his brother and forgive himself. He found a version of himself that could admit his wrongs and seek repentance. Over and over again in the Hebrew scriptures, the divine speaks to individuals through the voice of strangers. Strangers test our hospitality. Strangers test the way that we express love and care. Strangers test our very sense of self. And if we have the courage, and thanks, congregation, for sending the courage today, to authentically engage and grapple with them, strangers bless us with growth and with expansion. Our reading from today came from a book by ethicist Walter Earl Fluker. The book is called Ethical Leadership: The Quest for Character, Civility, and Community. And I am so compelled, obviously, because I'm giving you this sermon, about the way that he thinks about spirituality. As you heard, it's not something individual in the heart, or at least not entirely. It's not a feeling or a practice like yoga or meditation. He sees it as something that's discovered, an action that's done in community. He says, as you heard, it's something we do. It's the day-to-day encounter with the other. It's life-generating and disfiguring. This jolted me when I first read it, because I don't think of disfigurement, and in the popular imagination, I don't think that it's thought of as a good thing. And so, like, the challenge was to approach this language with wonder. What does that mean? What is a spiritual encounter? Where does danger and risk come into this equation? The danger of being, as he says, tested and proven, so that the encounter reveals something hidden, my call in the world, something about myself. If I look at the other person as a mirror, and I don't hold my heart or my conception of self open to actually change, to be disfigured, what happened? Whatever it was, I'm now pretty sure that it wasn't spiritual. Fluker's concept of spirituality asks me to be like Jacob, asks me to grapple, to struggle with the stranger. And that struggle is the only way I'm going to find out what they're here to teach me. Where is the disfigurement, the changes to the ever-shifting pieces of my identity going to take me? That which is hidden was there already, but it sparked into growth. There's certain seeds like bluebonnets. Anybody ever grow bluebonnets? They don't grow unless you scarify them. So you literally disfigure these seeds. You have to cut them with a razor gently, or puncture them with a nail. And if you don't break the hard shell, the things that are life-giving, like sun and rain and nutrients in the soil, they're not going to reach the parts of the seed that bring new life. And that's where vulnerability is a powerful force. If I'm going to hold myself up to disfigurement, that could be painful. And I got to hold my heart open for that. I might feel big emotions, anger or sorrow or even joy, and I'll need to hold my heart open to that as well. To hold myself in a place where my heart can break open and grow something new. Why is vulnerability so frightening? And I wonder about it coming down to the fear of disfigurement and change. This idea we should be static and don't show or feel emotions. And I think that the way that we think about identity can contribute to it. It's as if it's just a thing or a place to go or somebody to be, and not as a collection of experiences and emotions. I like to think of it as like a bag of stones and sea glass. Some places it's transparent, some places it's opaque, and it constantly shifts. I can choose which pieces will come to the fore. If I'm vulnerable, then I can dance with the shadow side of myself, with the demonic as well as the divine. All those strange and hidden pieces. And let's take it further. Imagine that our communities are multiple bags of these skittering stones. So we're grappling with our own identities, but we're vulnerable enough to show our parts to each other, to find out what's hidden, and to engage in collective wonder. What could we do together? And spiritual wholeness is that whole dynamic dance. It's a long night of struggle that softens and breaks open our hearts so that we can joyfully see the face of the divine in each other. It's searching for repair of the harms in the world, including those that we're responsible for. And it's not without risk, not at all. Because vulnerability also entails mutual trust. And what happens when trust is broken, as has happened in our community? From time to time, somebody who's hungry, thirsty, comes to the door while I'm here on my own. Are we going to continue to offer water or a meal when people come? How are we as a community going to work this dialectic that we have that's in active motion right now? We want to welcome the stranger. We know that an open-handed welcome makes us vulnerable. What's going to happen to our congregational culture and the way that we relate to each other and to the world at large? And raising these questions, I don't have answers. It's an existential question. And I don't think we need to answer it quickly or conclusively right now either. I think of Rilke's advice to a young poet. He said, "I want to beg you as much as I can, dear sir, to be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and to try to love the questions themselves, like the locked rooms, like books that are written in a very foreign tongue. Do not seek the answers now. They cannot be given to you, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything, live the questions now. And perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing, live along some distant day into the answer." And as we think of that, as we think of patience and living into the questions, I invite you to sing, and I believe we have an assist from the choir, our middle hymn, number 396, "I Know This Rose Will Open." And feel free to stay seated and sing it contemplatively. As people of faith, we're people who engage in religious community, and we seek spiritual growth. And the way that we engage has implications for the spirituality that the collective expresses. It's complicated by our culture and the reality about race, though it's a social construct, has real and urgent implications for how we move in the world. There's other oppressions too: patriarchy, heterosexism, gender things, classism. All these things are here. But I'm going to concentrate on race. I think it's very important. We live in a country where history books in Florida have just been rewritten in all manner of racist ways. And here in Texas, we have our own battles with so-called CRT. And I believe really strongly that in the face of all this, we can and we must engage with the other. We can recognize how we individually and collectively might have harmed, might continue to harm, and work towards atonement and repair. We can make changes, starting with ourselves and our institutions, but only if we truly engage in that deep, dynamic dance of spiritual growth. And that's what excites me about some of the powerful anti-racism, anti-oppression work that goes on in our Unitarian Universalist movement. Many congregations engage through the 8th principle. Now, the 8th principle calls us to spiritual wholeness by working to seek a multicultural beloved community. This is Pfluger's practical day-to-day encounter with the other, a day-to-day embrace of the potential that we can be together. We miss something if we don't have an anti-racism praxis, individually and as a community. So take the issue of reproductive justice. This framework arose because of racism in the pro-choice movement. The RJ Group's Sister Song describes its founding mothers as meeting in 1994. This is from their website. They say, because the women's rights movement, led by and representing middle class and wealthy white women, could not defend the needs. They couldn't defend them. They didn't know what they were. They weren't in relationship. So they couldn't be there for them. They could not defend the needs of women of color and other marginalized women and trans people. And so that ends the quote, and there was something of mine editorial in there, but go to their website. It's really good. So these founding mothers needed their own framework and movement. And so they created this reproductive justice framework that, unlike the rights framework, focuses on individual rights. RJ focuses on access to human rights, which they define as the right to have a child or children at the time of a person's choosing, to have a child when you want. The right not to have children at the time of their choosing, so you can choose when and whether. And to parent children in safe, sustainable environments that are free from violence. And this includes concepts of bodily autonomy. And if you think about the pro-choice movement in the 90s, and I'm not denigrating it because abortion is a really important subject. It's healthcare, and people need access to it. But think about how much more inclusive and generative the reproductive justice framework is. The 8th principle calls us to accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves, in our institutions. So now I bring up this reproductive justice analogy because, this is an example of we weren't listening and we didn't meet people's needs, and something else needed to arise that would meet it. That's, if we engage where those fissures are, that's accountably dismantling racism. It's like looking for those blind spots and trying to remedy them. So this 8th principle, it calls us into action. It calls us into relationship with the people that are impacted by racism and by other oppressions. How else will we know what to do? It's a responsibility that we have an affirmative duty to hear each other. And maybe this could take us to a place where we would, in the words of Reverend Marjorie Bowen Wheatley, become more of ourselves, more whole, as we give witness to a vision of a world transformed by our care. And that's what your justice ministry, the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry, or as I like to call it, TexUJM, seeks. We seek a world that's transformed by our care. And to do that, we educate and organize Texas UUs, member congregations, and partners to advocate effectively for public policies that, in short, bend Texas towards justice. And this takes many forms. which I will not actually read these out to you, but I would love to have conversation with you about the many, many ways that you can get engaged with Texujum. We, the Justice Ministry, adopted the 8th principle last year. And we found that this adoption was just the beginning of our journey. I would say one of the most powerful parts of this journey for me was when we co-sponsored and participated in a rally for Black maternal health at the Capitol in the spring in Austin. And we partnered with them on an urgent reproductive justice issue, which is maternal mortality. Black women die at 4 times the rate of other pregnant people. And that's in the United States, where we have a highest maternal mortality rate than any other global north country. So we partnered with them. We supported their rallies, and we gave them financial support and we supported the bill, HB 12, which was the bill that they were concerned with. And we wondered, what's it going to be like if our people aren't running things? We explained to our people who wanted all of the details now that working with partners sometimes means slowing down so that they can go through their own process and let us know what would be most helpful. And so we, in the end, were pretty gratified to see a small sea of yellow shirts at the rally in a supportive role at the back. And our people present at the rally told us how deeply it affected them. And for me, one of the most impactful moments was when Reverend Aaron, who is our executive director, with great trepidation and humility, led the rally in singing Hezekiah Walker's song, "I Need You to Survive." I was singing to these Black women next to me in the rally. They were singing to me, "I love you. I need you. You are important to me. I need you to survive." And this tender and powerful moment came from a journey, from listening, moving into relationship, and taking accountability seriously. We leaned into vulnerability. We leaned into hearing the other. And that is the way that we, your Justice Ministry, aspire to show up with and for our partners. And I invite all of you to join us in this journey, in this dynamic dance. And I'd like to close today in the spirit of prayer. Source of love and hope, of breath that connects us with one another. May we discard our shame and embrace vulnerability. May we discard numbness and embrace hearing each other. May we wrestle daily with the sacred other. May we seek daily the divine face of the other. And may we move towards spiritual wholeness by embodying this intention. I need you to survive. I need you to thrive. And I'd like to invite you to sing our closing hymn, which is in our teal hymnal, 1017, "We Are Building a New Way." United.
We will be extinguishing this chalice today, but we are illuminated by the faith that allows us to sit and think. In this quiet time, we can reflect in solitude, meditating in love, and growing out of our comfort. Though we experience discomfort, we are excited to give birth to a new, just world.
Our benediction tonight, or this afternoon, comes from Jim McGraw. When I say peace, I don't mean go in mindless oblivion. When I say peace, I don't mean go without challenging yourself or others. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in utter ease and comfort. When I say go in peace, I mean go in peace seeking justice. I mean go in peace committed to equal rights and opportunities for all. When I say go in peace, I mean go in the peace that is created when together we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. And so, go in peace. I invite you to join us for coffee and conversation. All are welcome, and there's refreshments in our library, which is to the rear of the sanctuary. I think sometimes they just open the doors and we become all together. Thank y'all.